No matter how friendly, how charming we try to be, the truth hurts. The truth always hurts, especially when it comes to sales. When you're presenting a deal, it's really all about the story, right? And how you can serve them. They need to trust you, but the reality is they don't care about you. You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Garino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. If a person walks into a bar and they want something for just the night, they behave a certain way. They'll flirt it up and say all the right things, and when they've gotten what they wanted, well, that's pretty much it. You know the drill, professionally and personally. But if they walk into a bar looking for something that'll last a lifetime, they behave in a much different way. They'll take the time to get to know someone, they'll make connections that are meaningful, they'll open themselves up in ways that allow long-lasting bonds to form. To put all this in business terms, it's vital to make sure you know your audience and present yourself according to their needs. This is about making them feel confident and comfortable with you and with your product. Audience awareness and relationship building aren't the only things that you need to be aware of. Ron Willingham once said, there are two major obstacles to making and closing any sale. They're both mental. They are fear of failure and the fear of rejection. And that's so true. Selling is 100% a mental game, very psychological. It's about understanding human behavior, building relationships, and effectively addressing the psychological factors that influence the decisions people make. The most important thing is to understand the customer's needs and desires. We can learn a lot about selling by following the sales pyramid. Let's dive in. Step number 1 is do your homework and set goals. Make sure you know the ins and outs of your customers, your market, and especially your own company. Once you've figured that out, decide where you want to be in the next year. Maybe having a monetary goal or a market size goal. Maybe it's a volume goal. That's up to you. Step 2 is to make strategic decisions. Implement and use what you found while doing your homework in step number 1 to decide what strategies will work best for your company and your goals. We'll discuss some of these strategies shortly. Step 3 is about building awareness and generating leads. Depending on the strategic direction you want to go, choose what areas and markets you want to advertise to and raise awareness for your company in. Then you can begin to target and generate leads in those areas. If done right, your ads will likely create interest in your product, so advertise in such a way that you can contact people back by phone call, text, email, or whatever. Turn people from being just interested into prospective buyers, better yet, friends. Step 4 is to turn leads into clients. Continue working on building interest in your product and maintain contact with your leads. They may not be ready to buy just yet, so get to know them to get to that point. Learn about your clients, understand their needs, convince them your product will meet those needs, and make the sale. Lastly, step number 5, ensure repeat clients. Be genuine and thorough. Long-term clients are the key to your business's success. Just as you have to nurture leads to land a first-time client, you might also have to nurture the relationship you have with existing clients. It costs way more to onboard a new client than to maintain the relationships with existing clients. Following the pyramid flow is a great place to start. Help build your clientele and to start closing deals. But don't get caught up in the euphoria of success. Remember to keep the customer's interest as a priority. After all, a huge part of sales is serving the customers and their needs. Did they actually need what you're selling? Will this truly solve their problems? If so, it'll be easy to sell. If they don't need what you're selling and it won't solve their problems, then back down. The last thing you want is to get caught up coming off as a cheesy used car salesman, just selling to anyone and everyone, even though you know it's not a fit for them. So be honest with yourself and be honest with who you're selling to. Once you've established a relationship and you're sure that your product will be useful to your customer, here are the top 3 sales strategies used by the most successful Fortune 500 companies that we can use to close the deal. Number 1 is consultative selling, which requires us to get to the root of what the customer needs and follow up by giving them detailed solutions custom tailored to them. This is where your relationship building comes into play in order for the strategy to be effective. Our second strategy is value-based selling. Sounds confusing, but hold on. Prices are always something at the forefront of the potential buyer's mind. Our goal as the salesperson is to emphasize the unique value that each product brings. Getting to know the customer on a personal level means you can then identify their specific needs and how your product satisfies those particular needs. Lastly, we have cross-selling and upselling. Both of these involve persuading a customer to purchase more than what you initially are trying to sell to them. Cross-selling is when you try to get them to buy multiple products, while upselling is convincing them to buy the higher end versions of whatever it is you're selling. This is an absolute art, so don't get ahead of yourself. Otherwise, you'll end up like the used car salesman, and no offense, but nobody likes that vibe. Those are the 3 sales strategies that'll help you the most as a young boss who's just starting out or whose business is still in infant stages. The reality is we are all selling at all times. If you are the boss and you own a business, you are selling in some way, some fashion, somehow, every single day, every single moment. So think about it more often, put it at the forefront of your mind and have it be a skill that you're really trying to sharpen and make something that's in your toolbox and that you're excited and look forward to those opportunities to put it into use. Some other strategies you could look into are solution selling and inbound marketing and sales. But as much as these strategies can help out, there's always a chance that someone just doesn't need what you're selling or is adverse to you. Sometimes we have to put our ego in a box and unsell them. Let's talk about what that means. At first, the word may sound like you're just canceling a sale. But unselling is really about changing directions to match a customer's needs and meet them halfway. Instead of pushing a product or service onto someone, you're focusing on understanding their needs and concerns. It's about building a genuine relationship and showing how your offering can actually help solve their problems or make their life better. So rather than being all salesy, it's more like a consultative approach where you're creating trust and providing value without asking for anything in return, like money, right? For example, let's say you're shopping for a phone. With unselling, the person, would take the time to ask you about your needs for a phone, like the camera quality, the battery life, and your budget. They would provide you with different options, explaining the features and the drawbacks. And if a less expensive phone fits your needs better, then they'd suggest that, even if it means that they don't make as much commission. They're not just trying to sell you the most expensive thing in the room. They're genuinely interested in finding what's best for you. It makes the interaction feel much less like a sales pitch. Hey, it's Isabel. Thanks for listening to the Young Boss podcast. I recently wrote a book called Young Boss, and it's filled with top tips I've learned over the years on how to survive and thrive in business. Pre-order your copy now by heading to the link in the podcast description. Now, back to the show. Someone once told me that I'm great at sales. And I thought, man, I don't know if I am, because I often find myself doing this unselling thing, right? I usually do that when the customers come in and tell me that they don't have the time, vision, passion, money, or support for our products. And some of those issues I can work with, but sometimes they explain their situation to me and I'm like, you know what? You're right. This isn't the right fit. And I unsell them. Now, some salespeople who are listening might be cringing so hard because they're like, what is wrong with you? Sell, sell, sell. But here's the thing. I don't want to just sell to anyone a product if it's not right for them. And I don't want to sell to anyone if they don't need the product. And, then have them complain that it's not what they wanted or it was too expensive. I don't want to sell to someone who's going to be overextended by their purchase and they can't even resume their normal life after. Nope. Please don't buy my product in that case, right? Instead, I'll help them find something that is right for them. They'll be more likely to come back to me when they are ready, or they'll send friends, families, and acquaintances who are ready for my offering. It's a win-win, and it keeps you to have this integrous characteristic in business, which I think is really important. So if you make this a habit, if you push greed aside and truly make it a priority to do what's best for the people you're selling to, you'll make a positive name for yourself. And that's the goal, to create a brand that customers want to tune into, a brand that they want to share with their friends and family. This brings us to another vital point of being a good salesperson: branding. If you operate a sales company, you likely know that branding gives you credibility, and your branding is an extension of your reputation. It's incredibly important to position yourself correctly within your industry and market, but building a brand that is authentically you and honest, a brand that puts the client or customer first, is vital. Shower your customers with knowledge, information, and attention. Be the brand that people turn to learn from. People always make better decisions when they're adequately informed. But when they're confused, more than likely they'll say no, right? The confused mind doesn't buy. Information can solve that issue. Sometimes companies or businesses, they're afraid to give out information for free, or as the kids say, free game, right? But the reality is that, it'll always be less valuable or different than the paid version. It won't and shouldn't be 100% the same, but you also shouldn't gatekeep. It could be the order in which it's shared or the depth of each topic that varies. But sharing stuff for free gets them to see, know, and understand your business, your knowledge, and your brand. By sharing free game, by throwing them a bone, you can influence their decision on if you're the right fit for them, if they want more. It's a way to get them hooked on your brand. That being said, focus on relational success over transactional success always. Start building a relationship with the person before you try to make the sale, which falls right in line with what we're talking about. By giving free information and consulting for free, you're showing up as a friend to them, not just a salesperson or even a business owner, just an expert with great intentions. When you know the person, it's easier to sell to them. In fact, when they know you, it's even easier to sell. One of my favorite quotes is, "To be fundable, you must be findable." Though you shouldn't, plunge yourself into markets that you know you won't be successful in, but you also can't isolate yourself from possibilities either. It's a delicate balance. Be someone that someone can find, but don't let somebody find you acting like a fool or hanging out around a crowd known to be trouble. You've got to protect your reputation. Being findable means having great SEO, having recognizable and familiar branding, a website that's straightforward and collects leads, having a book of business full of happy clients who shout your praises from the rooftops. That's branding, and that's being findable. Like I mentioned earlier, your reputation is an extension of your brand. They go hand in hand. If you're out partying with a bunch of people who are doing nefarious things, but you're not, but everyone around you is, and a potential investor walks in the room, what do they think? Right? They're not thinking, "Oh, but this guy isn't doing it, only their friends are." No, they're thinking that you're right there with them, so you might as well be doing it. Association is everything. Remember, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and your reputation reflects that. People notice it, especially if you're currently the type who broadcasts everything you do on social media. Yeah, I'm talking to you, boo-boo. A friend was telling me about a birthday party brunch that he was planning on going to, and it was like that, right? Full of shit that I don't get down with, right? And he asked me, "Hey, do you want to go? Do you want to swing by?" And I was like, absolutely not. That ain't me, dog. I never will be, because you only get one reputation, so protect it. It's like the double-sided sword of the "there's only one you" quote. Exactly. Yeah, there's only one you. So if you mess up your rep, you'll be swimming upstream for a while. Behave and present yourself in such a way that aligns with the brand you want to create and communicate. In other words, become your brand. That's how you build a reputation that's reliable, consistent, and trustworthy. When you can clap back at every single bad review or negative comment with true fact-based reasoning as to why you know that isn't true or isn't in alignment with what you do, you feel good about yourself and your brand, and that's how you stay on top and ahead of the others. Be the brand. Own the brand. Lastly, your reputation is an extension of your brand. In the cutthroat world of sales, where the truth often stings, our journey today has unveiled a profound reality that it's not all about us, it's about them. We've discussed the art of sales, from understanding human behavior to implementing effective strategies like consultative selling, value-based selling, cross-selling, and upselling. We even explored the power of unselling, the act of genuinely helping customers, even if it means steering them away from our products and services. Yet there's one consistent thread woven through this narrative: the importance of branding and reputation. We've learned that to succeed in sales, you must put the customer's need first, provide value, and build genuine relationships. And in doing so, we create a brand that people turn to, a brand that they trust. Remember, your reputation is the spitting image of your brand. It's not just about selling a product, it's about embodying your brand's values. Protect it diligently, and when challenges arise, respond with facts and integrity. In the ever-evolving world of sales, where trust is the currency, let your brand be the North Star guiding you towards lasting success. So as we wrap up this podcast, remember, it's not about you, it's about them, and that's the ultimate truth in sales. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Young Boss Podcast with me, Isabel Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and let me know, are you in sales? Everybody is, but are you officially in sales? I want to hear. Remember, youth is your power.